Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Valeria and this is the Off-Road Range. The 27th of February marked 1 year since the release of the first video on my channel. And today I'd like to talk about my activities on the channel, about my financial situation since the beginning of the project, and about current situation. But briefly, since I already announced my plans for 2024 in the video number 44. So, my first video was released on the 27th of February 2023. I have been preparing for it since November, that is almost 4 months. The next 8 videos also was prepared since November. These were my first videos, and I didn't know how long the preparation, filming and editing would take and what difficulties would arise. In 53 weeks of running the channel, I released 49 videos. This video is the 50th. That is, I missed the video output 3 times. This was due to the lack of internet, due to the amount of work and due to illness. In September 2003, I received burns and I didn't prepare a video while I was in the hospital. I currently have 110 subscribers and just over 1,000 hours of views. Of course, I'd like these numbers to grow actively and not for the sake of numbers or popularity, but because I believe that my videos are high quality, meaningful content. I have released more than 10 videos on lifestyle balance, videos about charity, supporting bloggers and about Monero. Since there is now a fight for this coin, I'd like to devote a couple of minutes of this video to it. Despite the fact that for many people cryptocurrencies are just a soap bubble with an incomprehensible hype, dishonest earnings and lack of value, in fact, initially, cryptocurrencies had the meaning of real money with all the functions of real money, but at the same time protected with cryptographic algorithm, which was supposed to make the currency anonymous when the era of digitalization started. This anonymity is a human right and the historical significance of any money. For example, all metal and paper money have always been anonymous before digitalization. And making an equal sign between anonymity and crime is only a policy of intimidating society by states with the goal of monopolization and control, which they do well. So initially, cryptocurrencies were supposed to provide anonymity, decentralization, and as a consequence, management of money by people and not by a single regulatory body that owns all the money in the world. Of course, Bitcoin and many other currencies lost these functions a long time ago and became dummies with a soap bubble, or were initially dummies when created. This is precisely what devalues cryptocurrency as their reason debt and gives the opportunity for speculation. However, Monero retains all the necessary functions of money: scarcity, fungibility, acceptability, portability, durability, divisibility, and is an important part of the existence of a parallel economy. This is exactly what those who make laws and control all activities in all areas do not like. That is why in recent years Monero has been subject to active attacks and tests from regulators. Not all laws that are taken are smart, useful or necessary, and all of us understand it. But the word law is taken as an absolute that must be fulfilled regardless of its logic. Therefore, as of the 6th of February 2024, Binance has implemented a policy to delist Monero from the exchange because it allegedly doesn't meet the new standards. But any standards and regulations are quite easy to introduce under various pretexts, and the real reason for the delisting process is an attempt to destroy the coin. Since Binance is one of the largest exchanges, a drop in the exchange rate on it can critically affect the parallel economy. Yes, it exists, and it is not a fairy tale, and moreover, it is not the darknet or something forbidden if you try to understand it and delve into it. This is a more logical, transparent and fair economy in the formation of which people actually take part and in which Monero is one of the most important system-forming parts. Do you know what I'm happy about after leaving Harin, starting working for myself and starting my own channel? Here I can tell the truth, which employers didn't like so much, so they considered me an unbalanced smartass. Of course, I filter a lot of what I say here on the channel as well, since there are restrictions and what to hide censorship. And yes, I am a rather emotional person, but the fact is that I can speak out to some extent, trying to convey to people the real state of various things. And you know, I plan to record a video about supporting the Monero network later, but I will try to tell you more about this in the near future. Maintaining the network is a critical part of its existence, since Monero is truly decentralized. Each participant, that is you, really contributes to its security, resistance to all kinds of attacks, the absence of a single center of control, and the absence of a single point of failure. And it is not as scary and difficult to understand as it seems. Therefore, despite the significant drop in the value of the coin, despite attempts to destroy it, despite the need of a large number of resources from different people, I still continue and will continue to support Monero because it really has value. And let's return to the statistics of my channel and my financial situation for 15 months of running the project. In addition to videos on lifestyle balance, Monero, supporting bloggers, and charity, by the way, also with the participation of Monero for complete transparency and honesty, I recorded 3 videos on communication between people, 9 videos on ennobling the off-road range, and 5 videos on building a house. I understand that if I had the capabilities of improved video shooting, it would be a different video quality and different viewing figures. But for now, I cannot afford to buy a video camera and I shoot on my old phone. Everything is very brief here. Consistency. The release of my videos is periodic. The quality of socially important topics. I talk about important topics regardless of the quality of the filming. And I'd like to know your opinion about what I may improve in my videos. 110 subscribers. Thank you, my subscribers. Quality of language and presentation of information. My personality delivery, presentation, pronunciation, and speech quality have improved. Omissions. Low picture quality. I have already talked about this, and this year I will improve its quality for a more pleasant perception. Low semantic qualities of some videos, for example, construction videos. This was due to the fact that most of the time I work at the construction site from morning to night. However, audience do not care what I was doing, since there is the fact that the quality of the filming is low. And I cannot film the construction of this house the second time. No collaborations. Yes, unfortunately, I haven't had much conversation with other bloggers. No comments. Why don't you comment? Don't answer the questions I ask. Don't get involved in the discussion. In the near future, I will be launching activities in the community where I'd like to know your opinion on various topics. And I will wait for your answers. Since I am talking about my activities at the off-road range as a project, one might get the impression that this is a business project financed by someone, or conversely, window dressing, since my activities at the off-road range are not similar to any generally accepted large-scale project with a strategy. The truth is neither here nor there. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. It has its own life cycle, approach to development, various measurements, timeframes, planning of resources and results. Since the off-road range is a very complex operation with many tasks that I have set for myself and construction time of 10 years, it would be most appropriate to have a planning and management approach to take into account as many factors as possible. Therefore, I decided that it would be logical to call the off-road range a project. If we talk about my finances during the project, then every few months I published my income and expenses. The last time was in September, after being hospitalized. 4 months have passed since the burns. During this time, a lot has changed, and my expenses have increased very much, since during this time I built a building that will later turn into my home. But there is still a long way to do and a lot of work. I was able to do this not myself, but thanks to my current subscriber, who lent me an amount in Monero in November 2023. The sum covered half the cost of the house itself. Since by October I managed to save up about a quarter of the required amount, at the end of November 2023, I was able to start building a house. And at the end of January 2024, I built a house. This house is just a box. There is no electricity, water, floor, doors, not to mention all other household amenities. Now almost all other work has been suspended due to a large amount of debts. I need to understand that my income will grow so that I will be able to pay off debts and provide electricity to the house. Connection to electricity is task number 1. Thanks to the generator and battery, I always have electricity and heat. Thanks to the fact that the house is on stilts and I have an attic floor, the router is now much higher and the internet is much better. Thanks to this, I can devote more time to work, but the lack of initial finances to launch projects significantly delays and slows down many processes and their implementation, as well as the situation with Monero. Despite the fact that I announced a fundraiser for only 20% of what I needed to build a house, unfortunately, no one donated anything at all. Now I need this money more than ever, and not to spend it on waste and entertainment, but because I need to continue to work on projects. An alternative energy project, the development of a charitable startup for the production of environmentally friendly products, supporting the parallel economy community, production my own environmentally friendly products, since one of my tasks is to popularize healthy natural food, and other projects. To do this, I need to complete the house to a habitable condition and install a fence. Designing communications, installing them, and arranging the inside of the house will cost about $70,000. A fence for minimal security will cost at least around $30,000. Without it, I cannot engage in landscaping, gardening, and beekeeping. After carrying out communications and arranging the house, I next need to work on security systems. The off-road range will continue to develop, and I need systems for protecting and monitoring the territory and systems for responding to various situations. I understand that for developed countries these are ridiculous amounts, but for me they are difficult to earn. I also promised to show you the entire table of income and expenses from the beginning of the project, that is for 15 months. I showed it step by step earlier, but now you can study it in more detail if you are interested. In November 2022, I started working on the project and looking for land and money to buy it. The bank approved me a loan of $27,000 for a period of 3 years, and my former boss lent me $85,000 and gave me another $5,000 as motivation to develop the project and support active, inspired people. In December 2022, I bought 25,000 square meters of land and Jeep Grand Cherokee ZJ. Several thousand more dollars immediately had to be invested in it to put it on wheels and make it safe for driving on public roads. The blue block indicates the approximate amount needed to restore and upgrade the Jeep, since one of my tasks is to create upgraded Jeeps in my own garage, which will be at the off-road range. However, I don't know how much this amount has changed in 15 months, as the condition of the car deteriorates and prices rise. I finished paying for the apartment in February 2023 and lived there for another 2 months due to prepayment. In May, I started living at the off-road range in a tent, or rather not living but surviving. I have a separate playlist with videos where I made clean land from a fruit forest and built a house. In September 2023, I was hospitalized with burns and returned to work only after 1.5 months. I lost 2 months of warm and dry weather, and this greatly affected my earnings, work at the off-road range, and construction, since in cold, rainy, and snowy conditions, many works cannot be carried out. Finally, at the end of November 2023, as I said earlier, I started building a house. And now, on the last day of winter, my task is to find funds for the further implementation of the project, so that the spring, the summer, this year in general, is not lost. I can and want to do a lot, but there are significant limitations. As you know, money is not an indicator of happiness, but it is a tool of self-realization for active and initiative people. Unfortunately, the presence of sponsors or participation in dubious, immoral projects only fulfills desires of the sponsors themselves, but doesn't give any freedom to the one who came up with the idea and invests time and efforts in its implementation. And in general, sponsorship in 99% of cases doesn't benefit society and the world, but is a commercial project for the investor. I have a separate video on my channel why donations influence changes in the world and how they help implement high-quality, useful projects to improve the world. I would really like for you to become one of those people who create and not just consume. One of those people who have purposes and goals, meaning in life and desire to learn, work, self-realize, and change the world around you for the better. It is difficult, it is long, it is often without results, but it makes you alive. And your time is limited only by this short life. Make a contribution to this life. Do not miss it. You have only one. It was Valeria, the Off-Road Range. Wish you all the best and see you soon.